Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Videntis podcast for another deep dive with me. It's December 26th. Hope you all had a wonderful Christmas yesterday. We're going to unpack some pretty major news stories from the past 24 hours. Everything from a record-breaking Mega Millions jackpot to the conflict in Ukraine. I've got our expert here to help break it all down. What jumps out at you first?
It's hard to ignore the pretty stark contrast in the news today. We've got, the holiday cheer surrounding the Mega Millions jackpot exceeding $1 billion, which was announced on Christmas Eve. And then on a much more serious note, there was a significant attack on Ukraine also on Christmas Day.
Yeah, that attack in Ukraine is definitely weighing heavy on my mind. Can you give us some more context on what happened?
Sure. Russia launched a large-scale attack targeting Ukraine's energy infrastructure, firing over 170 missiles and drones. This is actually the 13th such large-scale attack this year alone.
13 attacks on critical infrastructure in a year. That's just unthinkable, especially on a holiday like Christmas. What was the extent of the damage? And how are people coping in the middle of winter?
Well, even though Ukrainian forces were able to intercept a good number of those missiles, the attack still left 500,000 people in the Kharkiv region without heat.
It's heartbreaking. It makes you want to hold your loved ones a little closer. What has the response been from the international community?
President Biden has ordered the acceleration of weapons deliveries to Ukraine, a focus on strengthening their air defense systems. This comes on top of the $175 billion in aid the U.S. has already provided since the war began in 2022.
It's a staggering amount of aid and really highlights the complexity of the situation. It makes you wonder what the future holds for this conflict, especially with a new U.S. president coming in.
It's definitely a situation to keep a close eye on.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of situations that need close attention, let's pivot to some news that's a bit more hopeful. The Delaware Watershed Conservation Fund just hit a major milestone, $170 million in investments after just 7 years.
It is, and it speaks to a really fascinating model of collaboration. The program was initiated during the Obama administration and brings together partners at the federal, state, and even local levels to address critical conservation needs within the Delaware River Basin.
That's a really interesting approach. What kind of initiatives are they undertaking to protect the watershed?
They're tackling a wide range of issues, from habitat restoration and flood mitigation to improving water quality and even enhancing public access to these natural spaces.
Yeah, it sounds like they're really making headway.
Yeah.
What's impressive to me is that this initiative has managed to secure bipartisan support.
Absolutely. And that bipartisan support is key to the program's continued growth and expansion. It allows for a more sustainable and long-term approach to addressing these critical environmental concerns.
That makes a lot of sense. So tell me about this latest round of funding. What kind of impact did it have?
Well, the latest round generated a total investment impact of $38 million, which supported over 90 different conservation projects.
90 projects. That's remarkable. It highlights the power of collaborative action.
It does. When people from different backgrounds and political perspectives come together, it's amazing what they can accomplish.
Okay, I'm ready for a little lighter fare now. Let's talk about the Mega Millions jackpot. I mentioned it exceeded $1 billion. And after no one won on Christmas Eve, it's only gotten bigger. Can you tell us just how big this jackpot is?
The jackpot has climbed to a staggering $1.15 billion. It's officially the second time a Mega Millions drawing has ever been held on Christmas Eve. The last time this happened was back in 2002. The jackpot was a comparatively paltry $68 million.
Wow, that is quite a difference.
If someone were to win this current jackpot, it would be the 7th largest win in the history of Mega Millions.
I think I need to buy a ticket just in case. What are the odds of winning this behemoth?
Well, the odds of winning are 1 in 302,575,350.
1 in 302 million. Well, maybe I'll just stick to daydreaming about what I do with that kind of money. Although, you did mention a change coming to the Mega Millions in 2025, right?
Yes, that's right. In April 2025, the ticket price will be increasing to $5. The idea is that this will fuel even larger jackpots in the future.
So even bigger than 1.15 billion. It's hard to fathom.
It certainly is.
Well, to any of our listeners out there who are feeling lucky, I wish you the best of luck. You never know, someone has to win right.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground in this first segment. From the conflict in Ukraine to the inspiring work of the Delaware Watershed Conservation Fund, and of course the sheer excitement of the Mega Millions jackpot.
It's fascinating how these news stories, while seemingly unconnected on the surface, can actually reveal a lot about the complexities of the world we live in.
That's a great point. What stands out to you when you consider these stories together?
Well, the stark contrast between the conflict in Ukraine and the progress of the Delaware Watershed Conservation Fund really highlights the duality of our times. On one hand, we're witnessing this devastating war with a massive human cost. And on the other hand, we see people coming together to address pressing environmental challenges.
It's like two different worlds coexisting almost.
Yeah.
It makes you think about the interconnectedness of everything, how events in one part of the world can have ripple effects far beyond their immediate location.
Absolutely. Take the war in Ukraine, for instance. It's not just a regional conflict. It has global implications. It's impacting energy prices worldwide, influencing political decisions, shaping global alliances, and even affecting the stock market.
That's true. We might feel removed from the conflict here. But the reality is that we're all connected in some way, and these events do have an impact on our lives. But on a more positive note, the Delaware Watershed Conservation Fund is a great example of how collaborative action can make a real difference.
Definitely. And it's not just about protecting the environment. Within the Delaware River Basin, clean water, healthy ecosystems, resilient communities, these are benefits that extend far beyond a single region.
You're right. It's about the bigger picture, the interconnectedness of our natural world, and the need for collective responsibility.
Precisely. So for our listeners, I think the key takeaway here is the importance of understanding context. When we look at news events in isolation, it's easy to get caught up in the immediate details, the emotional reactions. But to truly grasp the significance of these events, we need to consider the bigger picture, the why behind the what.
I like the why behind the what. It's about asking ourselves, how does this event connect to other events, both past and present? What are the underlying forces at play? And most importantly, how does it affect our lives and the lives of others?
Exactly. It's about cultivating a curious mind, questioning assumptions, and being open to different perspectives.
It's kind of like putting together a puzzle. You have all these individual pieces, these seemingly unrelated events, and it's only when you start connecting them that you see the full picture.
That's a great analogy. And the more pieces we have, the more informed our understanding of that picture becomes.
Exactly. And sometimes the missing pieces are the most important ones. They're the ones that can completely change our perspective.
That's true. And that's why it's so important to be open to new information, to challenge our own biases, and to be willing to adjust our understanding as we learn more. We have to remember that learning is a continuous process, a lifelong journey of discovery.
Well said. And that's what we strive to do here on The Deep Dive. We want to help our listeners make those connections, see those missing pieces, and keep expanding their understanding of the world around them.
Absolutely. We want to empower our listeners to be informed and engaged citizens, to think critically, to ask questions, and to form their own opinions based on a solid understanding of the facts.
Well, it's easy to get overwhelmed by negativity, especially when we're faced with news like the conflict in Ukraine. But I always try to find those glimmers of hope, those stories of resilience and compassion that remind us of the good in humanity.
I agree. It's important to recognize the positive forces at play, even in the midst of challenging times. For example, the global outcry against the attacks in Ukraine, the demand for action, the outpouring of support for the Ukrainian people. That's a testament to our shared humanity and our capacity for empathy.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And the fact that we have initiatives like the Delaware Watershed Conservation Fund, with its focus on protecting our environment and its bipartisan support, that's another reason for hope.
It is. It shows that we can come together, even in these divisive times, to work towards a common goal. It's a reminder that positive change is possible when we prioritize collaboration and shared value.
Now let's be honest. The Mega Millions jackpot might seem frivolous in comparison to these other issues, but it does tap into something universal, that hope for a better future. And who knows, maybe that lucky winner will use their newfound wealth to make a real difference in the world.
It's certainly a possibility. There's always potential for positive change, no matter where it comes from.
That's a great point. We all have the power to make a difference, in our own way, big or small, whether it's through our actions or words, or simply our attention. We can all contribute to creating a more just, compassionate, and sustainable world. But there's one element we haven't discussed yet that plays a significant role in all of these stories: the impact of technology.
That's a crucial point. The way we consume news, the way we connect with each other, the way we even experience conflict and peace. It's all been profoundly shaped by technology.
You're absolutely right. And it's something we'll be exploring in more depth in our next episode. When we delve into the intersection of technology and the Supreme Court,
That's going to be a fascinating discussion. The court is grappling with some truly unprecedented questions about privacy, free speech, and the power of these tech giants.
it's a conversation that's only going to become more relevant in the years to come. and we'll be here to guide our listeners through it. It's amazing to think about how technology has really woven itself into every aspect of our lives, from the way we stay informed to the way we kind of engage with these global events. But as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm struck by something you said earlier about finding those nuggets of hope, even amidst the, challenging news.
Yeah, it's really easy to get caught up in the negative, but it is important to remember that there's always good happening in the world too. The fact that we're having this conversation, that people are engaging with these complex issues and seeking to understand different perspectives, I think that's a hopeful sign.
I agree. It shows that we care, that we're not indifferent to the suffering of others or to the challenges facing our planet. And that willingness to engage, to learn, to seek solutions, that's where the hook lies.
Absolutely. Take the Delaware Watershed Conservation Fund, for instance. It's a testament to the power of collective action, of people coming together across political divides to protect a shared resource. It proves that progress is possible when we prioritize collaboration and a common good.
It's truly inspiring. And while the Mega Millions jackpot might seem like a world away from these issues, it does remind us that everyone has the potential to make a difference. Perhaps that lucky winner will use their fortune to support important causes, to fund innovative solutions, to create positive change in the world.
It's a wonderful thought, and it highlights the ripple effect that even individual actions can have, whether it's through philanthropy activism or simply spreading awareness. We all have the power to contribute to a better future.
That's a great reminder. So as we conclude this deep dive, what final thoughts would you leave our listeners with?
Stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged. Don't be afraid to ask questions, to challenge assumptions, to seek out diverse perspectives. The world needs your voice, your ideas, your unique contributions. And never underestimate the power of hope, even in the face of adversity.
Well said. And remember, if you're interested in delving deeper into any of the topics we discussed today, you can find a wealth of information on the Videntis website.
And be sure to join us next time as we explore that fascinating intersection of technology and the Supreme Court, a topic that's shaping the very fabric of our digital lives.
It'll be a thought-provoking conversation you won't want to miss. Until then, keep those minds sharp and those hearts open.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.